Today is October 6th, 2022. There will be 4 VEO hearings today. It is now 9 o'clock, and we will hear parcel number 121641322. Are Elazar and Juan Gonzalez, and this is a residential hearing. This petition is scheduled for 20 minutes. The appellant and the appraiser will each have 5 minutes to highlight points of the evidence that they have provided. The last 10 minutes will be for rebuttal and questions of the board.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. The board members are Alicia Greenaway, Gregory Garcia, and myself, Joe Christ, as chair. Our clerk is Jennifer Badelas. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with powers that are to some extent judicial as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1st of the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor. The burden is on the petitioner to prove the assessment is incorrect. The hearing will be recorded, and all testimony is under oath. Our clerk will ask you now to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand and taking the oath.
I do.
Following your hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by you and the assessor, and we have reviewed it. The appellant is not present at the moment. Do we know if they will call in? Okay. So without them being present, the assessor will present his case. Please begin with the presentation of your case.
Good morning. Just gonna kind of go through the packet, starting from, we're gonna jump to page 4. The first thing I want to point out is that the parcel is on a residential lot that is actually 3 city lots that has been combined into one. The average standard lot in the city of Mesa, the property is located in Mesa. The standard lot is 7,500 square feet, and the size of this lot is 21,780 square feet. So it's basically 3 lots. I just wanted to point that out right off the bat. Okay, on to page 5. The home is a triple-wide manufactured home, built in 1995. It is 2,400 square feet with a full 2,400 square foot basement. Manufactured home on a basement. But the thing that we have done with this property is that we have given it a 40% functional obsolescence discount. 40%. More on that in a minute. But to take into account that it's a manufactured home on a basement, we did discount it 40%, the dwelling, okay? Take you now to page 12. The parcel is located in our neighborhood 613, which encompasses the city of Mesa, the city of Eltopia, and the city of Basin City. The ratio that we have for this neighborhood is 89%. And because sales are not a lot in this area, we actually went back to March of 2020 for our sales market for this. So between March of 20 and April of 2022 is our marketing area or marketing time that we did for this, and we took into account stick built and manufactured. So we have some double wides and some triple wides sales in this, and we still came out at 89%. Now on to page 14. First of all, this is the sales in the subject neighborhood. Just always have to say, sales comparison approach with direct comparable sales was not used to establish value. The sales were not adjusted for differences nor compared to the subject property to calculate the market value for the subject property. Just what I'd like to point out again, we gave this property a 40% discount. The two sales that I do show are actually stick built. That's the best. Actually, they're both triple wides. Excuse me. I was thinking they're stick built. They're both triple wides, similar to the subject. The price per square feet that we have, and they're similar. The one is similar in age. It's 1996. The other one's about 5 years older. It's a 2001. Sale number 2 is a 2001 year built. They're similar in size, as most triple I's would be, but they don't have basements. That's the difference between the subject and this one. But the price per square foot on the subject is $61.40 versus $93 and $145 for sale number 2. Now, I want to take you to page 5, and page 5, or excuse me, my page 5, your page 15. Please excuse me. And I've added 2 extra sales. This is sale number 3 and sale number 4. These are manufactured homes with a basement that have sold. They sold a few years ago, 2017. However, I want to point out one thing. Sale number 3, we actually gave it a 20% functional discount. Keep in mind, we gave the subject a 40% discount. Sale number 4, we gave it a 15% functional discount. So as you can see, we've taken the subject quite a bit further. There's really nowhere else we can go with this property as far as value. We've given it as much discount as we can, given the fact that it's a triple wide manufactured home over a basement. So in final, I ask that you sustain our value as we've done everything we can, given the sales, given everything. Thank you.
So that 40% is based on the age and several of the items that the appellant has pointed out?
It's based on one thing: manufactured home over a basement. That's the only thing it's based off of, and it's because of the engineering that's involved. Because if you think about it, if you think about a manufactured home, not a modular, a manufactured home. A manufactured home, each piece comes with I-beams. So in this case, 3 sections. There's 2 I-beams that run down the center of it. They can't be removed. That's a permanent chassis. It's a permanent frame for the bottom of the manufactured home. So now you have to engineer, if you're going to put it in your basement, you have to engineer that into the structure. So it's going to sit on the basement walls, those I-beams are, and then you've got another 2 feet on top of that for the floor joists. So you actually end up with more material, which costs more money, because instead of just the normal floor joists on top of a basement, now you've got an extra 2 feet with the I-beams. So if anything, there's more material involved, but we give it a discount because it's not a common occurrence. It just isn't. There aren't many of them. Modulars are a modular home, which is basically a pre-built, stick-built, that's brought in on a trailer, not its own chassis with wheels and axles. The modulars, you just move them over right on top of the basement, and that's really what they're built for. They're built to come in on a basement. So
Any other questions?
Do you know if the basement is finished?
It is.
It
It
is
is
a
completely
fully-
finished. I went through it yesterday.
Okay.
The house is actually, I would give it an average condition. It's in very nice shape. It just needs some updates. It's 1995 house. Other than that, it's in good shape.
Okay.
But yeah, the basement is completely finished. 5 large bedrooms, either 4 or 5, and with a huge bathroom. Yeah, it's a nice place.
Okay.
Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
And you said you toured it
I toured it yesterday.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were expected to be here yesterday from Hawaii, and they had plane trouble. So their son took me through it. I hadn't been able to get into it before that. It was locked up.
Greg, you- okay. This concludes the hearing for petition BE 2022-01, parcel number 121641322. The time is 9:11.
Thank you, guys. I'll swing by one of the next year. Just to say hi. Not today.
Okay, hold on, I got something I left out. So you can be quiet. Excuse me. Following your hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. This concludes the hearing for petition BE 2022-01, 121641322. The owners are Elizar and Juanita Gonzalez. The time is 9:12.
and forth if you have any.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. The board members are Alicia Greenaway, Gregory Garcia, and myself, Joe Christ, as chair. Our clerk is Jennifer Medelas. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with the powers that are to some extent judicial, as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1st on the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor. The burden is on the petitioner to prove that the assessment is incorrect. The hearing will be recorded, and all testimony is under oath. Our clerk will ask you now to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand and taking the oath.
Do each of you that will be testifying today affirm that the
I do.
Following your hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by you and the assessor, and we have reviewed it. The appellant will present your case first, and then the assessor will present her case. You may begin with your case.
My name is Clint Neal. This is my wife Kelly. So, first thing we're gonna do is, you've got a few things incorrect here on your assessment, on your paperwork. You've got us as 3,141 square feet of a raised subfloor. We don't have a raised subfloor. We got slab on grade. That's in the field property review sheet. We've also got, which we've submitted an appraisal from the bank at $850. You appraised us at $971,400. So we're not disputing what we have for improvements on our land. What we're disputing is the land. This is an equalization board. The land should be equal. So we've got 21 acres assessed at $297,003. Our neighbors, who's the same adjacent property, have 33 acres and they're assessed at $78,300. That's more than $200,000. That's $220,000 more for the same piece of dirt.
It was originally the same parcel.
It's
been split.
unfarmable. We went through this last year. It's number 5 and number 6 land. It's the exact same thing. Some fellows down the road from us, they've got 20 acres and they're assessed at $66,500. Again, we're assessed at $297,300 for the same number 5 and 6 land. So that right there to me is completely out of line. If this is supposed to be an equal tax assessment, why are we paying $220,000 more for less land? Not even talking about improvements, land only. Like I said, the appraisal from the bank, 8.5, or
150,000.
$850,000 instead of 9,704.
971,000.
971,000. We're supposed to be assessed every year. Last year, we got our assessment, this last year's? Last year, we got our assessment in September. This year, we got it in May. That's less than a year for sure. When we first got this notice, I called. I said, yeah, I want somebody to come out. The first thing that said was, we came out last year, we adjusted last year, we're not coming out this year. I don't even understand what that's about. I mean, it should be the same thing. Come out, let's talk about it, let's look at what we got going on. First thing out of the gate, nope, we were out there last year. We don't need to do it this year. We've got aerial views and that's all we're gonna do. The last thing I gotta say is mass appraisals are defined as a systematic appraisal of groups using properties as a given data using standardized procedures and statistical testing. It involves analyzing data collected in mass quantities, developing statistics from the data, and applying the results to large numbers of property. Groups of sales are used to provide value indications for large populations of properties. It goes on to say, applies these principles to groups of properties rather than individual property. Well, here in this RCW, it says an assessor's duty to appraise such parcel of property separately upon its individual merits. The assessor shall value each property by itself. Well, right here, it says mass appraisals applies to the same appraisal principles as individual appraisal, but applies these principles to groups of properties rather than individual. That goes against this RCW, which I provided you a copy of that in my email. This mass appraisal, this is a guideline. It says it right there in the title of it. This is RCW, mass appraisal is a guideline. Them are two different things, completely two different things. Homer's Guide to Mass Appraisal, guideline, RCW. I mean, there's several things here that are not even remotely on the board. Number one, to recap, land only without improvements, we're paying over $200,000 more than our adjoining neighbor, and he's got another third more property than we do.
Okay,
It's not equitable.
okay, your time's finished. Listen from the assessor.
Thank you. Good morning. Can I have everyone turn to page 1 of the packet? Property located at 170 Langford Drive, or Road, Eltopia, is 21.35 acres with 3141 square foot single-family residence with a bonus room and an attached garage. The property also has a 1,848 square foot double-wide manufactured home, along with 2 utility buildings. One is 1,600 square feet and the other is 896 square feet. The assessor's true and fair market value is $992,600. The homeowner submitted a fee appraisal as evidence. The scope of work for a refinance appraisal is different than the assessor's office. The bank is protecting their investment and doesn't want to over-lend on the collateral. Therefore, they tend to come in lower than market value. State law requires that the assessor appraise property at 100% of its true and fair market value in money according to the highest and best use. The fee appraisal used adjustments on their comparable sales that were not consistent nor explained. The appraisal also uses a lump sum value for both the manufactured home and utility buildings, equaling $15 a square foot. So I do have all the sales comparables for the improvements, but because they wanted to talk about land, I'm going to have us go ahead and jump to page 28 so we can focus on that.
I'm not,
Hold on, 5 minutes.
So on page 28, I'd like to review the comparable land sales. We have 3 sales. Sale 2 and 3 are actually the same property, 4 years apart. Both comparable sales have the same zoning and are similar size to the subject. Sale 1 is valued at $18,093 per acre. Sale 2 and 3, because they're the same parcel, are valued at $18,242 an acre. The sales ratios either meet or fall below the statutory requirements to assess to 100% to market value. The subject property, just above that, you can see is valued at $13,923 per acre. So if I can also have you turn to page 31. What this shows, everything in yellow is actually farm units. So those are parcels that are in our current use exemption program because they are commercially farming them. The sales that we have here are outlined in red and the subject is outlined in blue. Let me see. The comparable properties are also non-irrigated. They're zoned AP20, meaning they cannot be subdivided, and they're not in the current use program. So the sales I used are true comparables. Just because it's next door doesn't mean it's a comparable. When they're in the current use program and they're commercially farming, that is treated differently and they have to apply for that exemption. So in summary of the sales comparison we reviewed, we showed that we are assessing the property to its true and fair market value. Now that we've gone over that, I would like to jump over to their appraisal if we could. It's not numbered, so it's the 5th page in is actually comp sale 1 that I'd like to look at, and then 5 pages after that is comp sale 4. So I'm going to be comparing those two. Both comparable sales are 5-acre lots. Comp 1 has a negative $55,000 adjustment for land or site, as it says on there. Comp 4 has a 0 adjustment for land, and it's the same size. There was no explanation given. Comp 1 has a negative $47,000 adjustment for a water view, and Comp 4 has a negative $41,250 adjustment for water view. And after reviewing both of these parcels, Comp 1 is actually 0.78 miles from the water with a pasture view, and Comp 4 is just 820 feet from the water with a direct water view. So that discrepancy in adjustment is not explained in that fee appraisal. And because it was brought up, I just wanted to note, values are assessed as of January 1st of that year, regardless of when the change of value notice is received. This parcel was actually in our inspection area, this revaluation, so Monica actually did go by this property and take new photos. If you go to page 5 of our packet, under parcel comments about midway down, we do have a note from the appraiser last year from September 28, 2021. When we did go to inspect this property, we were denied entry to inspect. So with that history and with our resources this year, we were unable to accommodate that inspection. They were offered to send photos if they wished, and we hadn't received any. So with that, we ask the Board of Equalization to sustain the assessor's true and fair market value of $992,600. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there's 10 minutes now for rebuttal and questions from the board.
Okay, you go back to your sheet 31, where my property is in blue, off of Langford Road there. That triangle above us is just like us, non-farmed. It's the same piece of dirt. It still does not explain, all that you just said still does not explain their $78,000 for 33 acres and our $297 for 21 acres. Right here, it's the same piece of dirt. I mean,
Can they respond?
With the board
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's our main question, is why is that white piece of dirt assessed so much lower than ours?
for more land.
They have 33
Land only
acres,
without improvements.
and we have 20.
So for this hearing, we're discussing the subject property, and we did bring sales that verify and justify our value on that land.
Is there?
So how do you value, so why isn't their land valued higher then?
I wouldn't be able to speak to that parcel right now, as the ones we're looking at are comparable comps that I made sure they had the same zoning, non-irrigated, they had everything in common with yours, and that's why we brought those today.
How
I
can we
think that to
figure
be
this out?
equitable, you have to look at things like this. We gave you the map. We wanted to compare this property in our area where we live, not in Pasco, not a Riverview, not anything you're talking about, where we live. Why is there such a difference in the valuation?
questions, so it's not going back and forth.
I don't have any questions. I have enough information myself. Alicia or
I would
Greg?
ask, does the subject land have a house like yours on it?
We're talking land without improvements, just like.
It does
the
have a
assessment.
house on it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's land, they got land and then improvements. So our improvements are higher, of course, and I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, our house is.
The land by itself, just land.
Okay. That would be my only question.
Yeah,
How
that's
would
our
we-
question.
How would we, asking y'all, how would we find that out? Why it's different? 'Cause
They have to come before the board and, they have to go before the assessor's office and ask that question.
The people who own that parcel would have to.
Yes.
So the assessor does not need to explain to us, and I don't mean to come curt,
No,
but
they don't, because that's like asking why my taxes are, you have no right to ask
If your neighbors, though, were valued way, 200% less than you are, I think you would be in the same position we are, where you're wondering why, when it's the same type of land. That's been our question for 2 years, and it hasn't been answered.
Oh, we will. So does the equalization board, do you guys get overwritten by the assessor no matter what judgment you come up with? Is it possible that the assessor can say, well, we appreciate your input, but it's gonna stay the same?
No, we can make a decision.
And it is a final decision?
It is, but the assessor's office can also appeal that decision to the tax board.
Okay. Well,
That's our questions, and
Yeah.
that's why we've been here 2 years in a row, because it doesn't get answered, and it's still not equitable, it's not fair.
so as far as our house being, as far as the property, or as far as our house, I'd like to ask these people here, you've got us on a raise, can I do that? Okay.
You have to ask questions
There's,
to us.
in our field property review sheet, we have a raised subfloor at 3,100 feet, and we're slab on grade. It's in the drawings, it was submitted through the county, there is no raised subfloor. And also, we have that 83 double-wide trailer. It's never been remodeled, they have an effective age of 20 years old. It's 39-year-old double-wide trailer house. I don't understand what that effective 20 years old is, when it's never been remodeled.
Is that you can ask that
Yes,
question to the
this came-
assessor, but
this
is that
came from the
information that can be
assessor's
addressed
office.
by the assessor?
It can.
Check your records?
Absolutely. I actually have the sales comparables for both the single-family residence and for your manufactured home. So if you want to go to page 26,
I don't have 26, I don't know what's going on here.
the packet that you were emailed, so it would be on page 26 of our packet. This is going to be the actual comparables for your single-family residence. So comp 1 is actually used in your fee appraisal as well. We did extract the land and the single-family, the manufactured home and the outbuildings out of this. This comp is actually closest in location, similar in size, quality of the subject, and comes in at an assessment ratio of 83.56. The square footage of that is $182 per square foot, and the subject is $173 per square foot. Talking about the manufactured home, it's actually on the next page, page 27, if you want to follow along. Both sales we have here are, I do want to mention, we did remove the land and single-family residence from this. So this is just your outbuildings and your manufactured home. Both sales are similar in size, age, and quality to the subject. The sales ratio for the comparable sales fall below 80%, which is 20% low, right? So sales 1 is price per square foot $102, sale 2 is $134. So when you're looking at that, and they're both in fair plus condition. So when you see that condition effective age, that's based on the condition of the building and not the actual age. The actual age on there is still 1984, and it remains that way.
Mr. Neal, I think you're asking if that there's information on the assessor's document that you say is not right?
Yes,
Okay, that's the issue that he's bringing up, is whether or not that can get corrected.
3,100 square feet of subfloor, when I don't have a raised
His
subfloor, it's slab
concern
on
is that
grade.
the description of the house is incorrect.
Okay, so the slab on grade can be corrected, that would be a manifest error. That's information that we did not have before, that we can correct for 3 years back, plus this year. So whatever ruling the board decides, we can correct that value to make that right. The other issue that he's speaking to, effective age, that's what Sheree was just talking about. You have the actual age of the home, and then according to its current condition for its
Right.
age, you have the effective age of the home, which is derived from sales of similar properties.
The drawings for our home were submitted and approved by the county. They have all the information that it is a slab on grade.
Okay.
I think they just didn't do their homework. The house, the trailer house, is not 20 years old. Bottom line,
All right.
No, it's-
it is a trailer house.
Does the board have any other questions? Greg, Alicia? Okay. Okay, this concludes the hearing for petition BE 2022-06, parcel number 123390036. The owners are Kelly and Clint Neal. The time is 10:50. Thank you.
Read about the decision and I missed that part. Ability to appeal to the BTA.
Oh,
In the 4 weeks.
the bottom,
Yes,
sorry.
let me finish this. Hold on.
Yeah, don't leave the room.
Following the hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
10:56, and we will -07. Here is Terry Siston. Present, and we have present Morgan, along with Treasurer Shannon Taylor. This is a residential petition. The appellant and the assessor will each have 5 minutes to highlight the points and evidence they have provided. The last 10 minutes will be for rebuttal and questions from the board.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. The board members are Alicia Greenaway, Gregory Garcia, and myself, Joe Christ, as chair. Our clerk is Jennifer Medelis. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with powers that are to some extent judicial as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1st of the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor. The burden is on the petitioner to prove the assessment is incorrect. The hearing will be recorded and all testimony is under oath. Our clerk will ask you now to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand and taking the oath.
You that who are testifying today,
I do.
I do.
Following your hearing, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by you and the assessor's office, and we have reviewed it. The appellant will present your case first, and then the assessor will present his case. Her case, excuse me. You may begin your presentation.
Hi, first of all, this is the only time I've ever done anything like this. I'm a little nervous, but the thing that caught my attention this year is I get this for a house we bought roughly 24 years ago, and the last year's assessed fair and market value was $780,000. This year it jumped roughly $300,000 for a house that just got another year older and more in dire. That caught my attention. I called in, and like I say, I'm not one to complain. I think I understand how some of the stuff works. They lowered that roughly to, well, from $1,081,000 to $920,100. I was still like, that's crazy for the property that I have. It's, most of the issues have been addressed. They sent me their assessor's packet. And the only reason I came in here because of a few of the things, I had a couple people come out and assess and look at the stuff that I was saying. And anyway, they came out, and the new assessment, most of the stuff on page 5 of the packet, if you guys want to read it, you know, they verified, you know, a lot of my complaints. I'm like, there's no way this is $1 million property. I mean, I'd love it if it was, but it's just not there. After the stuff she's got highlighted in yellow, or Mr. Moneymaker or whatever, Brian Moneymaker. I thought that was a funny name for an appraiser. Sorry. Anyway, most of the stuff got addressed right there. But on that property of my 9.11 acres or whatever, there's water rights for 1.3 acres. The domestic well is non-existent. It's a community well because the domestic well is high in nitrates. So I haven't used it. We've been paying, it costs us $1,200 a year to get water to our property, and $500 for the irrigation water that we're allotted that can be shut off at any time, and the property could dry up and look like the desert that it is out on a sand dune by the juniper dunes. In doing this, I found out that the first lady that I called, they realized that we didn't have a swimming pool. How long have we been getting assessed for a swimming pool that is non-existent? I have no idea, but when I heard the last trial and you guys were able to go back and adjust that, that made me feel really good. Also, there was 80 by 36, the west end shop in the pictures has been collapsed for roughly 7 years. It's been in dire straits. It's not a shop, which they obviously in their assessment came out and recognized. So I'd like that to get, I don't know how far they go back or whatever, but I'd like to know how long we've been getting assessed for a swimming pool and a shop that is collapsed from a snowstorm numerous years ago. The property, we maintain it, and, there's a cost to maintain that kind of property. I just don't think that that's a fair market value. I explained to them also, the whole property, it's roughly, well, there's two corners. If you go to page 9, the blue line that they got in there is not correct. The actual deal, the property line is right, I built the shop just with enough right away to the road. So all that you see, I maintain it and keep it mowed and cleaned up, and the farmer out there likes the way it looks, and it's just kind of you can have stuff parked there. And anyway, I explained to them that it was only, that where the property started and ended. To get the roof fixed, I've had 2 different people come out and say, Terry, just get your buckets out when the snow starts melting like you have the last 5-10 years, because obviously it's not the time to be replacing and fixing the stuff that is going with it. Is that my beep? Okay, I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I would like to say thank you for taking the time to review our response to the petition and the supporting documentation in advance. The subject parcel is a 9.11 acre parcel located at 4270 Frontier Road and is residentially zoned AP 20. The subject is a 1977 built, 1-story custom, single-family residence. It has a 2,880 square foot utility building. The appellant, Mr. Sisney, called and discussed his value with our office on June 10th, 2022. There were issues with a damaged house roof, his HVAC, and half of the utility building had a caved-in roof. We reduced the original 2022 assessed value from $1,081,400 to $920,100, which is a difference of $161,300 reduction. We changed the condition from average to fair. It reduced his depreciation. We removed 50% of the value from his HVAC, heating and air conditioning, and we removed the value from the newer portion of his utility building. The notes are on our field property review sheet, page 5. The appellants appealed the new value of $920,100. Mr. Sisney contacted our office and he requested a site visit. Our agricultural appraiser, Brian, and I performed a comprehensive site visit on July 7th, 2022, which Mr. Sisney was kind enough to show us around his property, which was very kind of him. We viewed the exterior and the interior of the home. The home has a cedar shake roof that is older and needs replaced. It has leaked in several points, which has caused water damage to the ceiling and to the interior ceiling of the home. The back porch has dry rot and was sagging. We viewed the HVAC units in the utility building where the back portion of the building had a collapsed roof. We had already adjusted the value for most of these issues earlier in the year with the first reduction to the 22 value. However, the roof does need replaced and the interior ceiling has water damage and needs repair. The back covered porch did have severe dry rot, and the house is being occupied and it is livable, but it is outdated and it has some deferred maintenance. The photos are on page 7 of our packet. Additionally, I discussed getting a bid for a roof replacement with Mr. Sisney. This is a large roof, and it's a cedar shake roof. It would be expensive to replace it with the same material. Due to these issues noted in our visit, we are proposing a new 2022 value of $836,700, which is another additional $83,400 reduction from the original reduced value. Please see the note.
Could you say that number again, please?
The new proposed value is $836,700, which is on my answer. That's the value we are putting as true for market. The reasons given in the petition to change the assessor's value by the appellant were due to issues with the roof, HVAC, and back patio roof leak. We have given consideration to these issues already and made reductions to the 2022 value 2 times. The appellant had some concerns regarding his land, about the community well. The irrigation is for a smaller acreage rather than his size of lot. The lot size is irregular, the egg and dairy farm odors. These items are standard for parcels in this area. Their property has usable water and is being valued as a residential parcel, not a farming parcel. The neighborhood is a rural residential area that has farmland and farms in the vicinity, and we did not see an indication in the market value that these factors were negatively impacting the value or the sales of the home and land in this area. Highest and best use is a residential property. That is what it's being valued at, not an irrigated farmland parcel. So we did not see at this time that these things were indicating a negative impact in the market. The appellants have not provided any comparable sales to support their value. The assessor's comparable sales bracket and support the assessor's value of $836,700, and we respectfully request that the assessor's value be sustained. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sisney, do you have any rebuttal or questions for the board or the assessor's office?
As far as no sales in the area, the comparable sales, there haven't been any. I mean, it's a place that, I live on a dirt road. That's a non-county road. I mean, with literally no neighbors. The closest neighbor is a mile down Frontier Road. So, and it's a nasty old double wide, and people are paying silly prices for properties like that right now. And I have a hard time, just because there's a few people wanting to get out of the rat race of the city and overpaying for anything with 1 to 5 acres of ground out there. It's just crazy to me. I mean, the last property that you guys had in here, I've been in that double wide, and it's not livable. So it's one of those. There's a reason they built a big, nice house. Anyway, we're not watching Yellowstone. I mean, we're not going to get taxed out of Eltopia. I mean, and I just wanted to kind of make a stand because I didn't want it to be worth $1.5 million because somebody decided they wanted to move out there next year, and I just kind of wanted to draw a line in the sand. And like I say, I'm not anti stuff or anything. It's just, it was time. It's steadily gone up, but the $300,000 jump on a house that just got another year older and roof more decrepit, it wasn't, like I say, I'm not one to, to complain. So that's
Does
it.
the assessor's office want to rebut?
Yeah, I would like to make a few comments about the comparable sales. Mr. Sisney has been extremely, we've worked together, and he was really kind enough to let us come out and look at the home, and we do understand taxpayers' concern about the increase in the market. We are in an extremely appreciating market right now. We do understand the concerns, and it's a concern for everybody. So I would like to, I appreciate his cooperation and letting us look at his home. The comparable sales, I would just like to point out that on page 21 and 22 of our assessor's packet, I have provided 5 comparable sales that are there. They bracket the dollar per square foot. Most of these sales, and again, some of these are going to be difficult to find one in the same condition, but If you look at Mr. Sisney's dollar per square foot, it's, $169. Comparable number one is $272 per square foot. Comparable number three is $229 per square foot. Sale three is $155 a square foot. Sale four is $269 a square foot. And sale five is $121 a square foot. These comparable sales bracket our value and support it. Additionally, I would like to address the concern about the swimming pool and the utility building with the collapsed roof. It's my understanding, we only go out and do site visits once every 6 years, and therefore, we don't always know when something happens, if, a pool's been destroyed, or if there's damage, or a roof is damaged, so it's my understanding that the obligation for destroyed property to let us know is on the taxpayer. And so that way we can get out in a timely manner and assess it and know that there's damage the year that it happens. So in that instance, we would have came out and did a site inspection right then had we known.
Right.
So, so we just like to request that the value be sustained. Thank you.
Okay.
How can you complain about something that never existed, like a swimming pool? I understand the building, like I say, it happened about 7 years ago, so maybe it happened after their assessment. But to have a swimming pool, I don't know what they value a swimming pool is, but how can I address and say my pool's no longer here when I've never had one and never thought that I was getting assessed for a swimming pool? Like I say, I understand the collapsed building, going on the 6-year thing, but a swimming pool for 25 years, that, I don't know
Yeah.
how that ranks or what it ranks at.
Nikki, would that be information that would be in the assessor's database or
Yeah,
records?
yes, and at one point it maybe, I'm thinking it had one, and so on this one, we can adjust it for current and 3 years back, absolutely. We'd be willing to correct that if that, for that information. So we would be willing to absolutely go back and correct that. I believe for this year, it's a fairly minimal value attributed to swimming pools.
Okay.
But we would be happy to go back and correct that as well.
But that's only a 3-year thing, and that must be the
Right.
standard.
But what I
Yes.
mean is that information is not being hidden from anyone. It's available to the public to
Yes.
look at. And so it may be incumbent upon the homeowner to periodically take a look at that information to make sure what the county
Yes.
has
That's-
reflects what you have.
That's why I did it
Yeah.
this year.
Right.
I understood the gradual
Absolutely.
from the $175,000 we paid for the property.
Right.
But to get her all the way to $1 million, I mean, that's, anyway.
Okay.
Understand.
And we will make an adjustment on the back three and the current year for that, so.
Okay. Anything else? Any of the board members have comments, questions? Okay. This concludes the hearing for petition BE 2022-07, parcel number 123670028. Just to reiterate, the board will meet to weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We issue a written decision, which you should receive within 4 weeks, and the decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals. A notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. This concludes the hearing. The time is 11:15. Thank you.
Thank you.
now 11:27, and we're going to start off with petition BE 2022-08. Taxpayer is Richard and the residential petitioner, so the petition is scheduled for 20 minutes. The appellant and the appraiser will each have 5 minutes to highlight the points of evidence that they have provided. The last 10 minutes will be for rebuttal and questions to the board.
Good morning. Welcome to the Franklin County Board of Equalization. The board members are Alicia Greenaway, Gregory Garcia, and myself, Joe Christ, the chair. Our clerk is Jennifer Medelis. The board is a quasi-judicial body, which means having to do with the powers that are to some extent judicial as those of certain federal and state boards and commissions. The board and the assessor's office are independent of each other. Our role is to review the facts presented by both parties and determine the market value of the property as of January 1st of the assessment year. The law grants presumption of correctness to the assessor. The burden is on the petitioner to prove the assessment is incorrect. The hearing will be recorded and all testimony is under oath. Our clerk will now ask you to affirm your testimony by raising your right hand and taking the oath.
Today affirms that the testimony you're about
I do.
Following your hearing, the board will meet the weigh the evidence and make a final determination. We will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The board is in receipt of all documentary data provided by you and the assessor, and we have reviewed it. The appellant will present your case first, and then the assessor will present her case next. Please begin with your presentation.
Okay, on 9/29/22, the Franklin County Assessor's Office testified before the Board of Equalization presenting statistics regarding the 2003 reassessments. Ms. Marco testified on that on May 27th, 29,650 reassessment notices were mailed, of which 27,882 had an average depreciation increase of 1 to 15%, 94% of the notices. 375 properties had an assessment greater than 30% or 1%. My reassessment was 34%. My wife and I own a two-story family single residence at 2904 Road 56. The last improvement on our property was made in May 2019, which consisted of replacing an existing heat pump and air handler for $9,900. Since that date, there have been no other improvements on this property. For 2022, the assessed value of the property was increased from $603,000 to $741,000, an increase of $138,000 or 23%, despite the fact there were no improvements or changes to the property. There was no 2021 compatible sales in our area, so the assessor's office asserted the increase was based on commercial residential reconstruction model. Consequently, an appeal was not feasible. For 2003, the assessment value was increased from $741,000 to $994,700, an increase of $253,500, or 34%, despite the fact that there are again no improvements or changes to the property. The combined two-year increase in assessment value from 2001 to 2003 is $391,600, or 65% without any improvement or changes to the property. Prior to my final appeal, I visited the county assessor's office and was unable to get a resolution on the increased valuation or an explanation as to unique attributes of my property which would justify a reassessment increase of more than double that of 27,882 other appraisals. I submitted 4 compatibles, only 2 of which were addressed by the assessor. The first compatible was at 2412 Road 57. This property sold for $789,900 on October 21. The assessor increased this sales by $26,000, adjusting the sale price to $816,000 in their presentation to the board, which is in Exhibit 3, which I can provide. What the assessor failed to disclose to the board is that the actual 2003 market value established by the assessor for this property is actually $680,000, a decrease of $136,000 or 17% from the sales price of $789,000. So in other words, the board, the assessor asserted that the property value was $816,000 in the presentation to the Equalization Board, but on the tax records for 2013, the actual value is $680,000, a difference of $136,000. I adjusted for the square footage difference, land value, and the difference between a shop and a pool, which is a difference of approximately $143,000. And that compatible would make my property value at about $823,000 rather than $9,940,000 the assessor alleges. Second property is at 1331 Road 54. The assessor failed to include this compatible, although included in my appeal. This property sold for $623,000 on 10/14/2021, with a taxable market value of $648,800. There is approximately 444 feet difference, or $93,000 difference, a shop difference of about $74,000, and a land difference of $28,000. Adjusting the total difference for approximately $196,150, the value of my property would be approximately $844,000 rather than $9,940,000 currently assessed. In compatible 3, which also is not included by the assessor in their.
Okay. I have to pause. Hear from the assessor's office.
Thank you to the board, and thank you for coming today. I know this is really intimidating. So before I begin to talk about the subject parcel, I'd like to first discuss the statistical summary of what's happening in neighborhood 105, where the parcel is located. So please follow me to page 13. You'll see at the top, there's 43 sales in the area, which indicates strong buyer demand. The average residential sales ratio for neighborhood 105 was 93.9%, with two-story homes, which is what the dwelling property is, was 92.6%, or simply put, we are 7.4% under what is required of by state law for the assessor to appraise the property at 100% of its true and fair market value in money, according to the highest and best use, which is formally outlined in great length on pages 10 through 11, along with the RCW that states that law. So if you could please follow me to page 16, that demonstrates our conservative model here in Franklin County. So as you can see, the subject parcel is highlighted in blue, with the two sales comparables circled in red. Both sales comparables have a low assessment ratio, with sales comparable 1 at 83% and sales comparable 2 at 94%. And if you just briefly glance around the subject parcel, this ratio map shows how most sales that occurred in proximity also had low ratios. So with that in mind, I'll have you turn to page 7, which is a photo of this subject property. It's a two-story home built in 2008 on 1.04 acres. It's 3,469 square feet in size, with an additional sizable detached garage built in 2014 at 1,978 square feet, as shown on page 8. The home and the detached garage is documented as good quality and average condition, meaning there's no deferred maintenance, with greater details of the home from pages 2 through 6. So please turn to page 21, that highlights the sales comparables that closely match the subject property. And important to note that the sales comparison approach with different comparable sales was not used to establish values, nor were the sales adjusted for differences nor compared to the subject property to calculate market value for this subject. I would also like to reiterate the correction on this page to the sales ratios of the sales comparables. It was a clerical error that didn't reflect the current ratios, and your packet should have those updated numbers. All the other information remained the same. So when comparing the price per square foot of the subject and sales comparables, both the land and the detached garage value were extracted since none of the sales comparables had a detached garage. So if we're solely focusing on the subject parcel, it's coming in at $211 per square foot. Sales comparable 1 is coming in at $214 per square foot, and sale 2 is coming in at $216 per square foot. Sale 1 is an older 1991 home and also half a grade less in quality. And sale 2 is also half a grade less in quality and also an older home it's built in 1991. Which is why upon further investigation and explanation I provided today, I do ask the board to sustain the value. Thank you.
Mr. McNulty, or
Yes.
McNulty, do you have any questions or comments you want to make in rebuttal?
Yes, I do. Okay, first on the property at 2412 Road 57. The assessor claims that the sales adjusted price is $816,000, which would be the market value as of 31 December 2021. However, on the actual tax record, which I'll provide, the actual 2023 market value is $680,000, not the $816,000 that the assessor provided to the board. And that represents actually a 17% decrease in market value versus the 35% increase in my property. And as I noted, I adjusted the property, which the assessor did not do, for the difference in land value, the fact that it doesn't have a shop and everything, and based on that, the value would be my value of my property would be approximately $823,000, based on the $680,000 2023 market value of the compatible at 2413 Road 57.
Okay. Does the assessor want to comment or rebut?
Yes, I'm happy to address the appellant's question regarding the time-adjusted sale price for property 2412 Road 57. And he is correct. The sold price for that property was at $789,900, and the sale occurred on October 26, 21. However, as far as the assessor is concerned, the valuation is as of January 1st of 2022. And so what happens, and neighborhood 105, again, has a sizable amount of sales, 43 sales, so we dissect that in every which way. And in a given year, we can tell you at how much a particular neighborhood has moved in a given year. Franklin County overall experienced about 20% appreciation, and we take that value in annually, divide that up by 12 months in the given year, and that's how much we can tell you mathematically and very precisely how much the market has moved a month. In neighborhood 105, it was about 20%. Divide that by 12, I can give you the exact decimal. It's 0.0166 or 1.7% a month. So when you calculate it out, of course, the property sold at $789,900. However, it happened in October, and the assessment date is of January 1st of 2022. That's October, November, December. We have to adjust for those 2 months. Hence the change. And this is for everybody. This is all.
However, as of January 1st, 2022, the 2023 market value, as reported by the assessor in the Franklin County record shows that the value of the property for the 2023 taxable year is $680,000. Not the $816,000 that the assessor is claiming in their presentation. That's a $123,000 difference. $136,000 difference.
Okay, so Kim, you're looking at the page 21, that 83% sale ratio?
Yes.
That is what Mr. McNulty's bringing up to,
Yes.
bringing up?
So let's talk about what that number really means, 83%. That's assessed value divided by the sales comparable. So let's just do some simple math. Let's say a property sold for 100 grand. The assessment ratio came in at 83%. That means we are assessing it only at $83,000. So whoever the property owner would only be taxed based on $83,000. That is the assessment ratio based on that sale. Which is what, go ahead.
So just because we are giving a time-adjusted sale price, that the time-adjusted sales price doesn't equal the new assessed value. We can't just go through and change everyone's assessed value to what they sold for. The number that you're looking at is the time-adjusted sales price, not the new assessed value.
The new assessed value is $136,000 less than what you're reporting to the board in your own tax records, in your own assessment records. It's $680,000 assessment value for 2023.
Miss-
We
Yeah.
have to address this.
Okay. Excuse me. I apologize.
That's okay.
And as I testified earlier, there's no explanation how my property with no improvements no improvements or changes in the property in the last 4 years would increase in value by 34%, where 94% of the properties in this district increase between 1% and 15%. There's nothing unique about my house that would cause that increase to happen.
So what you're saying is you see a higher percentage increase in the same area where other houses have not had the same increase?
Across the whole county. I mean, 27,000 properties out of 28,000 out of 29,000 properties had assessment of less than 15% increase. I was one of 334 properties out of 29,000 reassessments that had an increase of over 30%, with no explanation of why that happened. Because there's no improvements to the property, no changes to the property. It's exactly as it was back in 2019 when I did a $10,000 improvement by replacing a heat pump.
Okay. Any other comments from the assessor's office?
Yes, I do. So I will address this question. As far as, what's throwing a wrench in my valuation? Why is my property so much more than the others that I'm seeing? So if you look on page 22, it's the very last page of your packet. It's regarding the detached garage, and sizable at that. It's 1,978 square feet, almost as big as some of the homes that sold in that area. So it's a summary of Marshall and Swift's valuation cost model that we use for a detached garage. So first, I just want to begin by addressing, what is Marshall and Swift? It's an appraisal guide for developing replacement costs, depreciated values, and the like, and acts as our aid in determining values of nearly every kind of class and type. And at the top, you'll see a quick recap of the subject home, along with more details about the detached garage. And then the following paragraphs in long form explains how Marshall and Swift define a good quality detached garage based on that manual. And the subject property's detached garage fits the classification of that description. So we are appropriately depreciating both the home as well as the detached garage for its effective age, quality and condition. So we are taking that into account because I just wanted to address the appellant's point about the unique attributes. That is the unique attribute. As you remember on page 21, I extracted the value of land and a detached garage. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, if my home itself is being valued under the other sales comparables, his is at 211, the two comps are at 214 and 216 per square foot, then what is the thing? What is the thing that's causing my value to be so high? And it's the detached garage.
Okay.
So in rebuttal to that, I would note that when I did the recalculation on the compatibles, I added the cost of the detached garage into those. So if the compatible property did not have a detached garage, and my detached garage costs $88,000 on a tax record, I added that into my calculation of what the compatible would actually be. And I presented that in the record I'm going to leave here.
That gives us more information than we have here.
Yes, because it includes the tax shift records and the differences between what the assessor's office is claiming should be the basis for valuing my property based on sales versus what the assessor's office actually established in the 2023 assessment record.
Okay. Is the assessor's office okay with us receiving that information? You are? Okay. Then we'll accept it, but this is an area that you normally have to give us the information.
Should we ask
Early on.
the board if we would like to accept it?
That's a good question. Would the board be willing to accept the information?
Yeah.
Do you have a copy for the assessor's office as well?
Yes, I do.
If you
And-
say
and I-
yes, that's,
And I would also note that of the 4 properties I identify as compatibles, only 2 were addressed by the
Okay,
assessor's office.
we're finished. We have to put an end.
so it's your
The board will accept the information with the agreement of the assessor's office. Thank
How
you.
many copies do you need?
Well, one for the assessors and one for the 3 of them.
So I've got 3, yeah.
Do you have one more?
This concludes the hearing for petition BE 202208 for parcel number 118511101. The owners are Richard and Rose McNulty. And just to remind you, we will issue a written decision to you, which you should receive within 4 weeks. The decision is appealable to the State Board of Tax Appeals, and a notice of the appeal opportunity is at the bottom of the written decision. The time is 11:50. Thank you.
Thank you.